As I talk about this show, please note that it is understood that a certain amount of producer manipulation is present, and I can only talk about events as they are edited and presented on this show. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever or wherever you are watching. Let's get into the Courtship, episodes 1 and 2. The first thing that's striking is that the castle looks really amazing. I wondered how old it was. In the US, we have buildings that are a few hundred years old. But in Europe, Africa, and Asia, they have buildings that are thousands of years old. This family seems very pleasant and wholesome, which I really like. I was getting so tired of ratchet reality television. Wholesome TV can be entertaining too. We want to see nice people on TV too. We're introduced to Miss Remy, who looks so beautiful in her red gown. Then we meet her suitors. I will not go through all of them because they didn't feel the need to highlight all of them. So I will just give my impressions on the ones they did highlight. Giuseppe made a memorable impression. He reminded me of an Italian Lin-Manuel Miranda. Someone should tell Dr. Shanzer that simply being a doctor is not a personality trait. Mr. Safa tells us that he has the hair, the physique, and the teeth. Okay. Mr. Ward is almost as full of himself as Mr. Safa, and I don't know why that irritating little curl triggers me so much. I also don't like whatever this is on his upper lip. Mr. Mumbre was doing so well with Miss Remy, but he gave up too easy when another guy came up to speak with her. Mr. Cohn so far seems really nice, and he does seem to genuinely like her. Captain Kim's hair is a character all its own. He does speak of passion, which was cute. At this point, her sister and bestie now have to pick 6 suitors to meet with her. She meets with them, and this is edited way too close. Each scene feels too short to get to know anyone. I assume that after the numbers of suitors whittle down, we will actually get to hear them say more than a few words. After talking to the 6 of them for what to the audience feels like about 90 seconds, she chooses Mr. New York real estate agent, I didn't catch his name, to go on the first solo date. She says that she chose him because he made eye contact and held her hand as he spoke to her. After speaking for what to the audience seems like 2 minutes, fireworks start going off at the castle and they start kissing. Next, she must fill out a dance card with 6 names of suitors she would like to dance with. At the end of the dance, she has to choose 3 to send home. The 6 chosen to dance are Mr. Echevarria, Mr. Locks, Captain Kim, Mr. Safa, Mr. Ward, and Dr. Shanzer. They are killing me with this classical version of Journey's Don't Stop Believing. I swear I did not make that up. Watching them try to carry on a conversation while remembering how to do this waltz is interesting. I don't think I could do it. Mr. Locke says that he will prove himself to her, so she lets him stay. Captain Kim says that he will try harder as he looks at her like a snack. She lets him stay too. Mr. Ward tries to say something. I forgot what it was, but she sends him home. Mr. Echevarria tries too hard to woo her, and she sends him home. I don't know why. I probably would have kept him. Next is Dr. Shanzer. She tells him not to be so overconfident, basically saying that he came off conceited. He apologizes and says that he wants an opportunity to show her a better side of himself. He also offers her the gift of a rose quartz crystal necklace. But it's too late. She sends him on his way. She tells Mr. Safa to be more serious. He doesn't have the vocabulary to respond. Plus, he can't talk and dance at the same time. I can relate, but he's still too George of the Jungle for me. I cannot believe she chose Great Value Fabio over Mr. Echevarria. There are different types of guys competing as suitors on this show. Wannabe actors, singers, models, fuckboys, and maybe, just maybe 1 or 2 sincere guys. I can't believe I got so pulled into this show. I don't even like dating shows. I don't watch The Bachelor or Love Island. I tried to watch that one time and I think I lost IQ points. Anyway, I'm not the audience for this show, but it is entertaining. They should not have played an ad with old dude from Bridgerton in it. It just highlights how these guys pale in comparison to him. Dude is beautiful and suave. His charisma is off the charts. Let's go ahead and get into episode 2. First of all, I love the color palette. All these pretty pastel dresses, it is really pleasant to look at. The 13 men left are in a lounge area talking about how hard it is to go without their phones. Mr. Safa talks about how tall he is. Why did she pick this oaf? I swear he reminds me of Sean Penn's character in Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
All I need are some tasty waves, a cool buzz, and I'm fine.
The first challenge is for the men to row Miss Remy and her family across a pond to a picnic. Mr. Safa takes his shirt off. Captain Kim talks about his girlfriend since 5th grade breaking up with him, and how he became a relationship coach. Let me get this straight. You had one relationship, and now you are a relationship coach. One thing men will have is the audacity. Who told y'all you could declare yourselves experts in subjects you have no experience or expertise in? Anyway, 3 of them jump out of the boats to impress Miss Remy, and one of them sings an R&B version of Row, Row, Row Your Boat. I didn't know at the time of filming, but I found out on the Twitter streets that the three of the gentlemen that jumped off the boats destroyed somewhere around $1,500 worth of sound recording equipment because they had their mics and their mic packs on. Anyway, they have a picnic, and shout out to the costume designer or whomever made this green jacket. I also like the contrast of pairing lavender and lime. Mr. Mumbre gets on well with Remy's parents. Miss Remy dances with Mr. Combs, I think. They seem to have chemistry, and he is very disappointed that Giuseppe interrupts their dance to woo Miss Remy. Mr. Substitute Teacher guy, whose name I didn't catch, talks a bit with her. Meanwhile, Mr. Hunter manages to impress her parents. Mr. King trauma dumps on Miss Remy. I don't like this. I feel like it's a trick. I feel like when people do this, they're hoping that you will confuse your feelings of empathy for romantic closeness. They are not the same thing. It also signals that they may want you to do emotional baggage lifting that they should carry their asses to a therapist to do. I'm not saying avoid people who have trauma. I'm saying avoid people who tell you about their trauma as their first introduction to you. It's a red flag. Besides being Dominican and having recent trauma, we didn't learn who Mr. King even is. We find out during this exchange, however, that Miss Remy's father is Haitian, and she shares that she is influenced by both her mother's African American culture and her father's Caribbean culture. Anyway, she decides to go on a solo date with Mr. Hunter. She shows him the dining room and then her bedroom. Someone should let her know that it's supposed to be a Regency era dating show. You're kissing on the first date and showing him in your bedroom. Girl, you're ruining the fantasy. Maybe I've watched too much K-drama, where they stretch out the flirting and tension so much that when they finally hold hands, you're like, then when they finally kiss at the end of the series, you're like, wow. The people on this show move too fast. Kissing Mr. Staten Island last week and Mr. Hunter this week, during a global Panera no less, where are my pearls to clutch? Anyway, now it's time to choose the 5 for the dance card, and they are Mr. Cones, Captain Kim, Mr. Mumbrey, Mr. Locks, and Mr. Kessler. Side note, this lavender dress is so pretty. It's my favorite color. Miss Remy looks beautiful in every color. She dances with Mr. Mumbrey first. He's safe. Next is Mr. Cones. He's safe as well. Next is Mr. Locks. She sends him on his way. He didn't even bow on his exit. The last 2 are Mr. Kessler and Captain Kim. At this point, I'm convinced that the producers are forcing her to keep Mr. Sappho because he should be gone. Or does she want to make out with him next week? Anyway, she tells Captain Kim to step his game up again. He has to lean into his confidence more. She gives him another chance and lets him stay. She lets Mr. Kessler go because he really didn't make his presence known. To his credit, he does exit like a gentleman. I still can't believe that I am invested in a dating show. I must admit that seeing an unambiguously black woman as the one being courted made me interested. Also, most of the men are decent eye candy, as well as the castle and its grounds. It's nice to have something that is just fantastical and fun to watch during this time of war and global Panda Express. Are you all watching the show? What do you think about it? Let me know in the comments. Oh, by the way, they changed the time and the channel. This was originally on NBC on Sundays, and now they have moved it to USA on Wednesdays at 11 p.m. So I would like people to try to watch it so we can get some ratings, so they don't say that, you can't have a black lead again because it didn't get good ratings. I don't want to hear that BS. So let's see if we can try to get a few more watchers and supporters so we can get more content that's like this and less content that is like love and hip hop. Until next time, one love. You are invited to check out my other channel, What Did I Just Watch, where I talk about horror, sci-fi, and thriller movies. Also catch me on Hood Podcast, where I join Jay, Chris, and Royama live streaming every Monday at 7 p.m. on the Hood Podcast channel.